co-founder of DLA Ignite. Today, we're going to talk about how to run a business to empower diversity. It's just such an important subject around diversity, inclusion, equity. I was talking about it. I was on a podcast this morning about sales, and we were five white people talking about that, and I thought I'd better add diversity at the end of it as well. So we've got Raj in today, and he's going to talk about a very interesting case study around his own company. But before we get into the detail of it, Raj, tell us where we can get hold of you.
Yeah, sure. So you can find me on LinkedIn. I'm Raj Goodman Anand. We can look us up on Google via Goodman Lantern or goodmanlantern.com. And I also lurk around Twitter. So I'm Raj Anand on Twitter.
Fantastic, and I know that you're active on social, and I've actually Googled you as well, and you like on page 1 or something like that. So tell us about your company. I mean, I don't normally allow people to come on and do pitches, but your company is kind of intertwined, isn't it, with the there's a bit of a Tom Shoes thing, isn't there? Your company is intertwined around the discussion about diversity here.
Yeah, sure. Absolutely. So we are a content marketing agency. Our focus is to help customers sell better and grow faster. But a big part of our company also is to empower women in technology and marketing. So much so that we're 80% plus women. And when people ask me why is that? Well, it's part of my core value. It's part of the company's core value to challenge the world we live in. I have a 2-year-old daughter, and my wife went through a lot of health challenges. And when I had all the challenges, I was thinking to myself, what is my purpose? What's my legacy going to be? What am I going to do different? Leave something behind. And it occurred to me that actually, when I was at school, half and half. There were half women, half boys. And then we went to university. 1 in 99 were women. And then we go to work as a programmer, and there were hardly any women there. So I thought to myself, there's something which you're not doing right. And as a man, and now as a father of a 2-year-old, I want to make it a fair society where women can enter the workforce in technology or whatever else they want to do, and feel like they are welcomed in it. And so the mission of our company is to empower women in technology and marketing.
So going back, so 80% of the people that work for you are female.
80% plus, yes.
Plus. So how do you get to that? How do you why is it that you've got that sort of level of diversity in the business?
Well, so the main purpose of the business really is to allow a place where we encourage women in a way that they feel comfortable working. Allow them to, firstly, we ask women, what do you want what would be the ideal workplace for you? A lot of them in the interviews said, which is really bizarre when I first heard it, is flexibility.
Yeah.
Like the most important thing they want is flexibility. And number two is they want to work on awesome projects from the comfort of their home.
Yeah.
And so we thought, okay, can we build a company like that? Can we build a company which can allow flexibility? Can we build a company which can allow working on awesome projects from the comfort of their home? And so we built this model which around the requirements of the team members we work with. And they are from across the world. We have team members on 4 continents. We have customers on 5 continents, and we work around their availability in the flexi hour. So if they're working on, maybe they're studying, maybe they are traveling, maybe they are mums, maybe they have a family, maybe they're taking care of somebody else. You can do that and still work on some great projects. And these are like leading companies in the tech industry, like from defense to manufacturing to biotech to AI, you name it. So it takes a lot of effort to think about this sort of stuff, and it takes a lot of sort of planning to allow team members to work remotely from across the world and still add value to the customers. And the flip side is customers say that the teams are so So they take much care of the customer. They love the attention to detail we have. It's because we're able to match that mindset, taking care as part of a core value. It's part of what we do as a company. So great content, great teams, happy customers. It can all be. It's all possible in this way.
So it's interesting because you talk about flexibility and working, which I think is just so critical. But it kind of goes against to everything that we've been taught over the last 30 years in leadership, which is, we need to put everybody in a building, and I can sort of like say, where's Steve? Steve's taken more than an hour for lunch or something like. Because what we were able to do is that we were able to see that the people were sitting in the office. Therefore, the assumption was they were working. Whereas as soon as what we do is that we let people go and do their own thing, and we're doing what leaders today are terrified about leading through screens. So how do you do that?
I think just to kind of first jump into a topic which I think is really interesting is if you look at the trend in the market today. There's two trends over here. One trend is someone like Elon Musk saying, "I want everyone back in the office." You don't come back in the office, leave the company, for example.
I think he said that. Yes.
Yeah. In basically in a nutshell, that's what he was referring to. On the other end, you have Oculus and Apple launching these VR headsets. And if you look at the VR headset um, preview, you're talking about how to build a flexible workforce. If they talk about working from home and these kind of like VR headsets helping in that. So there's a trend in that way. And I feel like we are in this cycle. This before the industrial revolution, we all work from home. We had flexibility working from farms, like our spot, our spaces. With technologies going back to the space we were in, history repeats itself. So it's coming back to that same work from home scenario. What's interesting in the whole thing is that actually we can be more productive at home, but to manage teams, to manage the work was really challenging initially. And but it's possible through a great process. So it's not about the time you put into it, the you get rewarded for the work you produce, the effort you put into it, the the communication you have with the customers or team members. That's what you get rewarded on. So if the matrix was changed and we changed it, so flip it on its head, we can create some awesome scenarios for teams. And so what we have done is been working on this way for the last 9 years. I've been working remote teams for over 15 years now. And I sold a company in the past, which is an events company, a hen party company, believe it or not, in the UK.
What's that?
A hen party
Oh,
company.
hen party. Okay.
So it was one of the largest dance-based hen party companies in the UK, and that was you know built from zero to acquisition. That came from building remote teams, scaling up that, for example. And we learned that if we reward our team for the work they produce and the experience they create for our customers, that is a better reward than to reward them for the hours they put in. So that's just silly. That doesn't work really. So for me, it's about the mindset of you know the more you produce, the more you can create opportunities, the more you get paid for it.
Right. And so what you're seeing is that your people are responding to that, and you're saying, because you talked earlier about the importance of having flexibility, but also having interesting things to do as well, and therefore they responded to that.
Absolutely. I think, like for example, in remote parts of the US or say in South Africa, where you have native English speakers who understand the subject matter, who used to work for investment bank and now are stay-at-home moms, for example, they still wanted to work on challenging projects, but they can't because it's not available in the local area. The boss is saying, "Come to work. Be based in New York, be based in London, for example." That's not possible. And so we are saying, well, no, you can work from home, right? Let's work on some awesome projects together. You work remotely. This is the requirements. This is the timeline. This is how we do stuff. You work in the day. You work at night. Doesn't really matter. This is the time you come in for the call of the customer. we can make that happen, then we are all good. So we set realistic timelines, expectations up front, so they can deliver to those. And it's not about sort of come in from at 9 a.m., leave at 5 p.m. That's not how we work as a company.
And I think it must be key, therefore, to define those in the outputs and the deadlines and things like that, so people know, because there's flexibility is one thing, but you've also got to deliver it on time, haven't you? To the quality that you're expected to deliver.
100%. In fact, the work tends to be better than that because it tends to be more aligned and much better because people have the flexible time to think about stuff, to really, you know, to really add value, to be in an environment they really like to be in. This is why if you look at Google offices, they emulate the home environment in their offices, and that's there for a reason. I think the reason really is that we are most productive at home. I believe you at home working. I'm working from home as well right now, so you can see that I think we are more productive at home.
Yes, there's been some research that came out from Gallup in just recently, which is that they reckon that people, if you've they actually in this research, they're saying that people actually like to still have somewhere where they can where there's a belonging. People like to work from home, but also there's a belonging. And I think sometimes quite often this can change with age as well. My partner's 28-year-old loves going to the office, but that's because he likes going. There's a social thing, and and also he feels that there's an ability to network because he's 28, and he wants to make sure that he keeps up on things. Um, whereas he felt that when he was working from home, he was maybe missing out on a promotion or something. But the people that you've got are not necessarily looking for that, because the key thing that they're looking for is flexibility.
Yes, but it's also important to create those water cooler moments virtually and create a environment, a team culture online. It's much harder,
Mm.
much harder. But again, I never set out to do something which was this has been done before. I set out to do something which is unusual. I love innovation. It's part of who I am, and I'm really happy to say, well, we did this way in the past. This is a new way of doing things. We will organize fun Fridays. We'll organize town halls. We'll organize these social opportunities to come together, and that's how we do things, and it works really well. I mean, there's an element of like physical contact which is obviously missing in a virtual environment, but then that's compensated by friends and family which people have, which they value a lot. A lot of people in the team value to be with their friends and family in local areas, and that's what that compensates for lack of team. But then I also go and visit them, so I travel extensively.
Right.
I'm on the plane like literally every month, if not more, to meet team members, to kind of make sure that you kind of be with them, you do some away days with them, do retreats with them, and that helps to kind of build that bond with
And
them.
I think that's a
Just I'll
really
replace that.
important point, Raj, which is the fact that you're that I think that we can. I do agree that there's so far that we can take relationships being online. I met up with my business partner last Thursday. I was speaking at a conference, and he came as well. But I hadn't seen him for 18. Well, I hadn't seen him physically for 18 months. And there is something magical about actually seeing someone and being a presence, even though you can take relationships a long way doing something like this or Zoom or Teams.
I agree. I don't think face to face can be replaced with online ever. I think we are social beings. We love that element, and I think as AI comes into our lives, we feel that, oh well, we're gonna have AI bots who will be our partners, our team members. But actually, you know, I think it's really hard, and maybe it's because I was born in the era where human contact was really important. But I think even today, if we look at the younger people who are using, or people who are using like video games, for example, they love interaction with other human beings through the virtual means. It doesn't mean that it replaces the human connection or touch, as it were. But at the end of the day, for me, I still really enjoy going out to the pub or going to the restaurant to meet people, to connect with them, because that's who I am. And I don't think you can replace that with Zoom or AI bots or whatever that might be.
So how are you finding these people? So, we've gone through the culture, we've talked a little bit about the work environment, but how are you actually going out and finding the people? So this is the recruitment part.
Yeah. So initially we were, looking we do a lot of LinkedIn job ads, for example, using online platforms. We specialize in recruitment for digital native or online only roles. But then once you have them in, and I think one other advantage of having a strong brand around a purpose is that when you have a team member, they recommend other people who believe in the mission as well. And suddenly this snowballs, very quickly. You have people recommending their friends, their family, their co-workers in the past, their you know, we have people that recommend their parents, for example. I mean, it's fascinating because they all believe in this mission. And so, if you think about if no one cares about diversity or didn't care about anything else, cost of recruitment has gone down significantly for us. And I think if all you want to do, if you just want to do this for like just making money, I think that's still worth doing because having a mission makes people aligns people together. And for us, that's helped to lower our cost and to find people who can be part of the team, for example.
Right. So you've actually used traditional methods in terms of recruitment, but what you've done is that you've also said that they are online only, so people have an expectation. And I'm guessing that there are people out there that are going, I'm looking for an online only opportunity, and therefore they've applied.
Yes, I think a lot of people had a taste of online only through COVID,
Mm.
and that made our lives a little easier actually, because now we don't have to explain to them that this is possible.
Mm.
Well, because we all did it, right? We all did it for almost 2 years,
Yes.
so we understand how it works, and so that's made our lives a little easier actually to explain that online working is actually the real deal, the real deal.
Yeah, I think that COVID kind of accelerated it, didn't it? Because I mean, I'd been working or had been working online for a long time. When I used to work for a US software company, and I remember one quarter they said there's no travel. You've got to use technology. We're a technology company. We've got the technology. Use it. And of course, everyone said, "Oh, you've got to go and have face-to-face meetings," and we did. We made the number, and we made 15% more margin. And this is pre-COVID, so for me, it had already been proven that we can work online. And I think that this experiment that took place where we all work from home across the whole of the world. Obviously, some people can't work from home, but for many office workers, we worked at work from home, and therefore we were able to prove that we can work harder. We've got flexibility. If I want to finish this and go for a walk, I can do that. I know I could do that in the office, but the thing is that time that we worked online proved that it could be done.
I agree. I agree. I think, as you were saying earlier about some roles cannot be done or it cannot be done online, but there'll come a time when majority of the work can be done online. Like there'll be things like IoT, Internet of Things, will be introduced more and more so, where we take an action here and the impact can be seen in a factory somewhere else, for example. I mean, already you can see like drones, for example, delivering stuff. Maybe in the future, the last mile, which was done primarily through in one's car, be done through the drones. Who knows, right? So we are in this rapid change, and they're getting cheaper to build and faster to create, and they're much more efficient. So I'm an engineer. I study I did research in AI, so I'm obviously an optimist about it. But I think things are changing very rapidly now, and who knows what might happen the next 10 years from now.
Yeah, I think we're into another period of rapid change. It certainly isn't going to slow down. And I think the AI and metaverse are going to make changes, not quite sure how they're going to change us, but you know, it's a bit, for me, it's a bit like I remember having a BlackBerry. Basically, a BlackBerry meant you could make calls and send emails, and then the iPhone came along, and then all of that. What that meant was that you could have apps. So really, Facebook kind of didn't exist before it was on the desktop, but it didn't get the take up, or even things like Snapchat or anything until we got the mobile phone. And at that point, there was a rapid change in the way that we worked and the way that we lived our lives. And I think we're going to we're coming to another inflection point of that.
Yeah, I mean, I like BlackBerry as well, and you know, I really thought that was the pinnacle of innovation. Then came the iPhone, and I'm like, wow, this is amazing. And then came the next thing, and then you got the TikToks, and you got the, I mean, it's just like whenever I think that this is the pinnacle of success and innovation, then the next thing launches. And so, I mean, I can't wait to you know really try out again the VR headsets, maybe the Apple VR headsets to see how they perform and how they might change the workforce again.
Raj, thank you so much for coming on and sharing your experience of your company and the way that you've set up the culture and the recruitment and the way that you're working. It's fascinating. Thank you for sharing that. Remind people where they can get hold of you.
Thank you, Tim, for the opportunity. So you can find me on LinkedIn, Raj Goodman Anand. You can find me on Twitter, Raj Anand, or check out our website, goodmanlantern.com.
Brilliant. Thank you so much for coming on, and I really appreciate it. Thank you. And thank you for contacting me over matchmaker.fm as well. I appreciate it.
Absolute pleasure, Tim. Thank you for having me. I really appreciate that.
Thank you.